You can see here that we've got the same course to steer problem as before. At 9:30 in the morning we're in this location here and we wish to get to this waypoint up here. Now the difference in this example is that we're going to be in a much faster boat, a boat that's capable of approximately 20 knots. Now this distance hasn't changed, this is still approximately 10 nautical miles, so you can see in this example it's going to take about half an hour to get from our start point to the waypoint. Now there would be nothing wrong with us using the same method as before. We've got 1 hour of tide which we've left in from the previous example, it's still the same, and we can then arc out 1 hour's distance travelled through the water, which in this case is 20 nautical miles. But with this being about 10 nautical miles, you can see very quickly that 20 nautical miles would take us in some cases off the chart, and in this case certainly to an impractical distance to measure with a set of dividers. So one solution to this is to simply look at a half hour's tide and a half hour's distance. The first step of that, looking at the tidal vector here, which was measured before with dividers at 2.9 nautical miles, is to simply half that. So, quick calculation, 1.45 nautical miles, half the original 2.9, takes us to about there. So if we mark off that distance, that's our new tidal vector for half an hour, and we can rub out any excess. Now again, we're looking at half an hour's distance, so the boat was moving at 20 knots, so half an hour is going to take us to 10 nautical miles. So we set our dividers at 10 nautical miles in exactly the same way as before, but we put one end on the end of the tidal vector and we arc off until we hit the line with the other. And we mark this point where they cross. Note that hasn't crossed at the destination, although it's very close. We then simply join the end of the tidal vector to the point where it's just crossed. We don't join it, as we've said before, to our destination. That would give us the incorrect answer. In the same way as before, marking it with a single arrow, we can now measure this line as our course to steer. So, setting the plotter along the line, course arrow in this direction, lining the north arrows up with the north lines, and more precisely the lines on the bezel with the north lines on the chart. We can now pick up the plotter and we can see our course to steer true is 59 degrees true, allowing for variation and leeway after that to get a more precise answer and what we'd actually use on the water.